Okay, we should be good. Uh, okay, so what's up, y'all? It's SNC here, and I got the 1980 preseason video here. I'm gonna go over the cap tables, which have all the rosters, like on them. It has all the overalls on the actual cap table. So I'll go over those, the finalized cap tables for the start of the season, and so that will also show like the rosters, and then after that, I'll show every team's head coach and the head coaching pool because I realized I didn't do that in the off season. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're at negative 17 million in cap. Although Maravich and Haywood did regress a bit, this is still probably a playoff team, at least in my opinion. Yeah, they still have like six really quality players, and Lagarde is fine as that last starter. He's not like exceptional, but he's not terrible. The Bucks negative 35 mil. Yeah, this Bucks team, they're like right under that contending tier. They just had another star. They could probably be contending because Larry Keenan is really starting to like cement himself as a top 15 player. And I know every team so far has had like a top five player that's won the ring, but uh, I think with the right stuff, you could maybe win a team with like a Larry Keenan type as your best player. Yeah, especially because they have a ton of depth. Bucks are going to be really good this year. The Bulls, um, yeah, the Bulls are interesting. They've been really solid for the past 2 years. They probably do need like that. They probably do need another star or two. Ray Williams, like, I think he might be capable of doing it. He needs to shoot the ball a bit more for him to like really like, break out as a star. But I think he's capable of doing it. Randy Smith was supposed to be that guy, but he's regressing pretty hard. So maybe Kikanovich can be that guy. And then obviously it would also help if they like traded for a star or two. The Bulls should also be a playoff team this year. In the Cavs, even though they didn't win last year for the first time in the sim, still definitely one of the best teams in the league. Still definitely contending. And yeah, wouldn't be too surprised if they won the ring. They lost Dave Roundfield, but Tree Rollins is a pretty underrated replacement. The Celtics, Larry Bird really got up there overall wise in the offseason. Um, Already one of the best players in the league just in year two, and they have a couple pieces around him. Like Jack Sigma, I think can be like a co-star. They just need to continue to develop some of these other pieces and continue to put together more pieces. But the Celtics are on the come up. The Braves should definitely be a playoff team this year, I think. And yeah, they just look really good now. Clippers negative 60 million, but at least they're not like negative 95. They just traded Artis Gilmore. I don't really know if this team might like this team is probably a play-in team. They don't look horrendous. Obviously, they're not good, but like they don't look horrendous. Horrendous. Sorry. Uh, Cliff Robinson might be due for a huge season. He was coming off the bench for a contender last year, and now the only guy that's really ahead of him in the pecking order is Rudy Tomjanovich, and he's shopping Tomjanovich too. So Cliff Robinson might find himself in a first option role, which would be very interesting to see. The Hawks, just like last year, don't really have a ton of help around their duo, but I actually think their depth got a bit worse. But the difference is Magic should be significantly better this year. He developed a lot in the offseason. He, uh, yeah, they're also starting to put together some pieces. Third overall pick, Daryl Griffith. Uh, is projected, like I at least project him to be their. I think he can develop into their second star alongside Michael Ray Richardson. The reigning champion, Charlotte Hornets, are obviously still in like contention for a potential repeat. Looks like they got Walt Frazier uh, as one of their minimum roster fillers. Yeah, Oscar Schmidt into the 90s now. This big three is just one of the best big threes in the league, and they do have like good amount of pieces around them too. The Jazz, uh, yeah, now that Johnny Moore is gone, or not Johnny, Johnny Davis is gone, I think they can finally just like tank. Like even 2 years ago, they weren't terrible, and while James Edwards playing amazing was a big reason for that. They did have John Lucas for half of the year, but now they finally don't have a star, and they probably won't have a star at any point this year. So uh, I think they can finally tank. Kings, definitely one of the worst teams in the league. Uh, there's just like nothing here except for Arturo Guerrero Gibot. Wait, or is that the wrong one? Yeah, Arturo Guerrero. No, Alejandro Urgeles Gibot. Arturo Guerrero's a separate. I keep getting those two mixed up, but uh, he might average like 25 this year. It's crazy. Like 2 years ago, he was out of the rotation. Now he's like clearly their best player. The Knicks, only one more year of Tiny Archibald. Uh, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. They probably did get a bit worse from last year, but I mean, Gervin is still Gervin. Maybe they have a better year this year. We'll see. The Lakers. Yeah, they traded for Artis Gilmore. Um, all of their depth is gone. They do have Paul Westphal at point guard, but three, like two, like certified top 10 players. Another player who's not really that far off, and they do have a really solid starting point guard. They just need to fill out the rest of the roster. And that's been kind of a struggle for them. They haven't really found the balance of having a big three and a supporting cast at the same time. So we'll see if they can figure it out this time. The Magic, uh, pretty similar team to last year. I think them missing the playoffs was a fluke. So yeah, they shouldn't. Like I would expect them to make it this year. The Mavericks, probably probably actually will make the playoffs this year. This team super underrated, I think. Uh, yeah, this duo is starting to get really, really good, and they have a lot of pieces around them too. Of course, the two rookie big men that they got, both in the top seven, Jeff Ruland and Joe Barry Carroll, are projected to be really good players. And the Nets, this team, this team is interesting. Um, so a lot of talk about this team, especially because their GM consistently makes outlandish claims, but um, I guess you can't really deny that they're one of the deepest teams, and they do have star power, but do they have enough to be a contender? Because they don't really have like a top 10 player, which has been a big point of discussion about this team. Should be interesting to see. And something I do want to mention is they are moving Lonnie Shelton up to the five after the like because they got Bantam from the wheel, so APJ made the decision to move Lonnie Shelton up to the 5 and try out small ball, which should be very interesting. James Donaldson moved to a sixth man role. Yeah, that should be very interesting to see. That team has a pretty high ceiling, I think. Like, I think there's a world where they win the ring, but uh, I don't really know if like that's this world. We'll have to see. The Nuggets, yeah, pretty similar to last year's team. Really strong, big three. Have a good two guard in Phil Chenier. Nice sixth man in Darnell Hillman, but don't really have a small forward. This team gets a small forward that isn't like who's starting for them right now? Steve Green. Sorry about that. Or like Ron Davis. If they can get a legit small forward, that team could probably contend. Uh, yeah, so we'll see if they can get that done. Pacers. Um, this team is probably not contending, but they're in the tier right under contending. So, at least in my opinion, they were the 4 seed last year, and at least for this season, I know they're like a couple of their guys are regressing. I don't think there's a lot like here to make it seem like a lot here that would change. Like, I don't think they lost enough to make anything change. I don't. Okay, sorry, I'm just having like trouble like articulating the words. But basically, I don't. They lost Billy Knight, but I think they were able to like bring in enough to offset that. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. And the Grizzlies now with first overall pick Kevin McHale. Um, they've been like a fringe playoff team for the past 2 years. And if Kevin McHale is good enough as a rookie, maybe they make the playoffs this year. The Pistons are pretty terrible. I think they're just gonna wait. Like, I think they're just gonna chill for the next couple years uh, until they get like until they have all their picks back and they can start tanking. The Huskies brought in Billy Knight, so they finally got that third star. Um, Dark horse contender, I think. I think we can finally say that because they do have a third star now, alongside King and Winters. Rockets probably a playoff team. Brought in two really good big men in Dan Roundfield and Bob Lanier. Yeah, probably a playoff team, especially with all their other pieces. John Long, Calvin Nat. They traded for Michael Thompson too. Phil Ford. Yeah, the Spurs traded for John Lucas. So, um, yeah, this Spurs team is probably due for another 1 seed. I don't think the Lakers have enough depth to really like change that, but yeah, they might not make the finals though, just because the Lakers brought in Artis Gilmore, but uh, obviously still a contender. 75 win team gets better. Kind of wild. The Suns are terrible. Uh, like Dave Cowens is only getting worse, so I believe the Lakers still have their next pick. So, yeah, kind of wild that the Lakers are probably going to get another top pick. Sonics are the Sonics. The Timberwolves, uh, hmm. So the Timberwolves probably have more bad players in their rotation, but they probably also have more good players because there's only like one good player on the Kings, and there's like three-ish players that I think will probably be good this year for the Timberwolves. Like, I think all three of these guys are probably going to have solid years for the Timberwolves this year. So, should be a very interesting tank off. The Blazers, I really don't know what to expect from them. They traded away their starting small forward. They still have a lot of the pieces, but like losing Larry Knight, I don't know if they'll. Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to be like that. I, I don't know if they'll be a top 10 team again. The Warriors, um, continuing to just add pieces onto this really strong young core. If they can get like a franchise type player, because I think they have like tier two young stars, but they don't really have like a young superstar. If they can get one of those, I think that really like sets this team up because they have three young co-stars, and if they can get like a young superstar, that just pushes them. Uh, I think that like gives them the best like future outlook out of any team in the league. And then the Bullets, um, yeah, they just need the ping pong balls to fall right, which hasn't happened yet, but um, we're gonna tank again, and point guard is probably their biggest need. And in the upcoming draft, there's a man by the name of Isaiah Thomas. Uh, yeah, if they can get the first overall pick this year, that would be huge for them. And that's it for all the teams. So let's go over the head coaches. I'm just going to scroll through really quickly. Pause on your team if you want to see which coach you have. And then after that, I will go over the coaching pool. I just realized I forgot to change John Havlicek to a head coach. So let me do that really quickly. Okay, there we go. John Havlicek is a head coach now. And let's go over all of the options. So Dick Moda is the top offensive coach. The coaching pool is growing. A lot of players after they're retiring, I have them set so they become head coaches after retiring. So yeah, the head coaching pool is growing, and Dave DeBusschere is the last one. So yeah, I think I'll give y'all like until 7 p.m. EST to get in all your lineup changes, and if you want to like change your head coach, all of that for the start of the 1981